Good afternoon to one and all. I don't know if I don't know how many people we have in, but I will go onto YouTube and have a look. I know that the clocks changing have sent me a little bit of a tiz-was, but we should be okay. Yeah, we've got some people here. Okay, so let's just have a look at the charts very, very quickly and see what's been happening, because not a lot has really moved, and it was, I guess, to a degree, maybe not suspect is the wrong word. Anticipated is maybe a better word to use. These are the charts here, and there's. I was going to take a trade in the FTSE earlier on, as you know, at this level, but my problem was where you put that stop. And as it turned out, that stop, even if we had put it in the safest place possible, which was under this trend line here, or even under here, it would have been stopped out, and and the market then went back and tested the daily pivot, and we're probably in the same kind of scenario here. Hasn't touched this upper level, so there's not really a decent price for the short either. Maybe the decent price for the long right now is if it comes back down here one more time, but then we're fighting the major market trend. The VIX, as we speak, looks like it could be in a little bit of a downward. Could do with a little bit of downward movement. So maybe a suspicion that we could see a little bit of boost in the stock market to the upside. Checking the S&P as well. Let's just check these on longer term time frames and see what we got. S&P, where is it? Again, it hasn't really touched that upper level, and I wonder whether we're more likely to touch a trend line along there. Didn't quite get there, but it's close enough to suggest that actually that the level might be a bit higher. And I see why it would have stopped at that particular position there. So that's on the hourly. But if we check the longer term time frames here, then weekly still very much to the upside. So you'd be with the weekly trend if you were to go long here. You would be with the probably with a daily. You could argue both ways. I think this support level here has been, that now being broken does suggest that this is probably going to be a level of resistance. So where's that likely to be? Looks like a horizontal level coming from over this point here. So the S&P looks like 34.36, which is less than a 1% jump to the upside. Let's draw this trend line on as well. And we will put the fib on as well. I'll just change time frames to do my fib. And we said 34.36 was the level. Yeah, that looks pretty good actually. So 34.36 would be pretty good. It doesn't look like it would touch that trend line if it was drawn there, but if we tidy it up a little bit, then it might coincide quite nicely. It's going to take us into the wrong time frame. This could be coming down here. No, not there. Maybe that one there. That one there has got a few touches and a few closes. Yeah, looks like around there. So 34.36 would be the short on the S&P. I'm going to bring in the other charts now just to have a look at the pivots, what that looks like with pivots as well. And we'll do the same thing and just see if there's some confluence in that area. Not in relation in regards to the pivots, but certainly it looks like there's a horizontal level across here. So it looks like the sweet spot. Now let's just put this trend line back in from the lower line and then the upper line and see if that gives us a similar price point. It does, but it would need to get there within the next hour. So if the market opens now with this, it suggests upside. That's what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for a session which certainly started just to cruise itself up again, meaning that I'm not comfortable shorting. Now, I'm not really comfortable going long either. I think that the market probably is in a bit of a downdraft, but I'd be comfortable shorting here. But it looks like some upside will start us off with a day. So measured move wise, we probably head up to this point, and then start to drift back down again. Possibly attempt to create some sort of inverted head and shoulders, with this being the left shoulder. And I'll draw that properly. This being the left shoulder here, this whole area kind of as a head, and if it did manage to come up and back again, then it would may attempt to stop around about this level, which looks like there would be a horizontal level across there and there. So that might be the area that am I still on? So I've just yanked my lead here, and I don't know if I'm still on. I think I am. Is the sound all right, guys? I just want to double check the sound, because I've just yanked this lead out, just kicked it. Cool, thanks, PL. Okay, so the really it's a question of risk. I think we can make some assumptions on this market. Whether they're right or wrong is always the question. But I think we can make some assumptions on this market, that this market is probably going to go. I would make the assumption that we start to take off to the upside and hit this 34-36 area, and then give us another high, or does it just continue to cruise to the downside? Because we are looking at a probably much deeper price action than what we've got so far. So I would want to set that out, but let's see if my assumption is correct, that we go higher, and it would be the same with the FTSE. I'd be anticipating the FTSE actually to move higher here, rather than looking for downside. I just don't think this is the genuine jettison point that actually turns the trend around. So it would be a long to go short, if anything. I'm still waiting for my 56.50 level before I'm going to be really kind of getting into this market with a position I want to hold on to. So that's still what I'm aiming for. So I'm looking for up, then down, hopefully into here. And then I'm going for a much longer term position to the upside. We do have US GDP now. This US GDP might be where are we at? Here we go. This US GDP, now it's due out on the 29th. So it's not until Thursday, but it might be just enough to hold things up and make it so the market isn't in quite so much trouble until we get that GDP. Now, I don't think there's anything else on the horizon that that will hold this up. We'll double check what's on today and tomorrow. Nothing there. Core durable goods orders. Look at what's been going on. And I think this is the interesting thing about the market. I was talking to a friend yesterday about this. These numbers here. I mean, this is obviously an atrocious number here for the Spanish unemployment, and it continues to be so. But when we consider everything else that has been going on, then that isn't awful, and that isn't awful. So the numbers in the US still kind of are stacking up and holding up. Now, that doesn't mean that we've got good value here, and I think that's the key thing, is that the value of the market is too high. It's a bit overblown, but the actual numbers don't suggest that that there's going to be a huge weakening of the economy at this stage. And if that's the case, then that's why I'm quite happy to go long. The FTSE is so kind of closely related and interrelated with the US stock market that I will express it through the FTSE, but I don't see the US market really collapsing here. I just see us kind of having a move lower, and that move lower might just be down to this area here. That's the area I'd like to see tested again, down at 31, around about 3,200. Um, Now, and at that point, we'd have to, figure out, is that value? I don't know. I won't know. I can't know that at this particular stage. But there may well be some value in the stock market at that point. So, I'll be looking at that. Now, the other thing that is really interesting for me is the crypto space, and I'm looking right across the board. So, these are the things that interest me right now. I'm really interested in the euro pound. Always will be until we get kind of Brexit sorted out. So euro pound, I'm interested in. My overall view is the pound. The UK eventually does some sort of deal. So my overall position on the euro pound would be for a short. Oil, I'm interested in. I'm interested in oil because I think that Joe Biden is going to be a problem and a potential enemy for these dirty fossil fuels. He may not be, but I think that there could be enough movement in oil that that there could be fear if he does come into power. That I think oil probably with a Biden win will probably weaken over the next 3 months. So I'll be short on oil. My overall position on the FTSE, if it can come down to 65.50, 56.50, is for long. So it doesn't necessarily relate that well to either this or this, because a euro pound short is a pound long, and that traditionally shouldn't really be too good for the FTSE. But I wonder whether, with a Brexit deal sorted out, the FTSE, actually the companies in the UK 100 might actually start to benefit from that in the longer term, after kind of seeing the flush out with a pound. So a little bit low with the FTSE, and I'm long. Oil, I think I'm pretty bearish on. Gold and silver, I want them in my portfolio, but again, it's just too expensive. So I'm long, but not at this particular point. And finally, cryptos, I am also long, but again, not at this point. The cryptocurrencies could do with just a drift lower. Nasdaq, I'm a little bit mixed on, because I think Biden might actually be bad for the Nasdaq, and I wonder whether that trade that we've enjoyed, where equities go up and the Nasdaq leads the lot, may well be over. So I'm a little bit benign on the Nasdaq, but the S&P and the Dow, I'd probably also be fairly bullish on. So I'd be long on those ones eventually if they could come down to a level. But let's talk about cryptos, because cryptos also could reflect a move. They're the only things that I'm really that interested in right now. I'm not interested too much in the other currencies per se at this stage. I do think that again, the CAD may suffer if oil is given a bit of a hiding by Joe Biden. The Canadian dollar may well suffer. I don't think we're looking for risk on a risk off environment, even though I think that things are a little bit sketchy here. So I'm not that interested in the Swissy, and I'm not that interested in the yen. The dollar is in all sorts of trouble, and I think that we will eventually get some gold and silver upside along with cryptos and equity. So I think the dollar could really be a very, very weak currency coming into next year. The euro, I'm kind of benign on it, apart from the relationship with the pound. The pound, I suppose, I'm bullish on, generally speaking, because I think there will be a deal done. But it's only an opinion, and it's not really based on anything but what I hope turns out to be common sense. So that's really my overview. When it comes down to the Kiwi, I wonder whether the Kiwi and the Aussie may also suffer a little with a Biden win, but I can't really put my finger on that one. So cryptos, anyway. This is what I want to do with this stuff. So I've got specific levels. The FTSE, I want this long, but I want it long down here. It's a question of, do I wait until that happens, or do I try and play what's on offer here? And what I think is on offer here is a long, and I think that there is a long at this double bottom here. Could be a kind of triple bottom now, but you can see when I look at this on an hourly chart, there is resistance here, became support, became support, became support. It's held, it's held, it's held, it's held. I wonder whether there's a trade to the upside from this particular point. The big question for me is, do I trade it? Because my position is for a long, but it's not the price I'm after. So that's a big question mark for me. Do I trade it at this particular point? And some of it's going to come down to value. but I think it's ultimately a bit of a scalp at this point. And do I want it? 25 means that we're around about 27 to the downside. We're probably looking at around 65 to the upside. So there is some value here at 73, 57.73. There is some value there. Let's just have a look. Yeah, do you know, I probably would trade that. I will trade it in actual fact. So I'm going to go long on the FTSE at 57.72. That'll be my position, and I'll ease myself in. It'll be a buy limit at 57.72. And I'm going to put my stops under this particular point. It's 57.45. And then what I will do is, if that gets triggered in and it starts going higher, I will go short here and leave this position open. So I'm gonna do a long to go short here. That's my that's the idea. Now it could come down just a little bit further. 65, not a major problem. But yeah, there might be 10 pips in it. I don't want to see it close under this point here. So I will take that position, and as I say, I will look for the weekly pivots as a shorting opportunity, and anybody that's in the US show with me later on, you'll understand the idea there. What I probably will do, however, is take some profit and then go short, because I think this market is coming down. So I'll just put half the risk on at the short, so I can make some money out of the long, and then see if it does come down a little bit more, if that ends up transpiring. So that's the plan right now for a long in the FTSE, and then potentially going to go short there. Now let's talk about cryptos, because I want the crypto. I want a crypto in my portfolio. I have got one on my other account, which is Cardano, and Cardano is currently I don't know why I love Cardano so much. I've got no major reason except for the fact that my mate trades it, and he's always telling me the inside information with the updates with Cardano. So that's why I've gone for it. I just know more about it than any of the other cryptocurrencies, but I don't necessarily believe in it any more than anything else. Let me see what is going on with Cardano. It is just around about entry now, from where I entered now. Got some stocks doing quite well. And this is the interesting thing. I've got some stocks that are doing quite well right now. I've got EasyJet, which is doing pretty well this morning after leasing back some of their aeroplanes and their aircraft. So they've managed to raise a bit of capital. Aston Martin is easing its way to the upside as well. Like Aston Martin, I really like the story with Aston Martin, the fact that they were going into F1 next year. And I think they've managed to surround themselves with a really good team of people. And I happen to know that the directors bought in at 50p a share, and that was my price point to get in to Aston Martin at 50p a share. It's currently at 53, and I think there's plenty of room to the upside with that one. So Aston Martin doing well, EasyJet doing well. Cardano is just on the borderline. I've got also a long already initiated with the FTSE, which I've been holding for a while, which isn't doing too well, but I'm looking to get back in on my longer positions with that. And I want to add some ITM Power, which is a hydrogen-based company eventually. And I also want to add some Ethereum, but not to that particular account, but to another one. Now, Ethereum, to me, is another one. Now, I think Shukri was telling me that the release of 2.0 didn't go too well. Now, my overall position about global equities going higher. China, by the way, is the one equity region that I would be quite happy to buy already. I think China is going to come out of this a lot better than everybody else. They've shrunk a lot less than everybody else, and I think that they probably will be the beneficiary. So I think Chinese stocks are starting to look ever more attractive. On the fundamentals, price isn't so good, but I do quite like the chance that that China does well. Now that would bring me to HSBC as well, because HSBC are so exposed to the Chinese market, and if the banks are going to start doing a much better, which obviously with interest rates low they're going to struggle, but if the banks were to maybe pick up some of the cyclicality of the business cycle somewhere in the chain, then HSBC might be one of the winners for me. I look around at some of the other banks and try and pick the best possible one. HSBC very rarely comes out on top, but its exposure to China and my belief that China will continue to grow kind of puts it in that region where it could actually do quite well. Now, yes. So let's talk about Ethereum, and Shukri will no doubt correct everything that I'm going to say because his knowledge is far deeper and greater than mine when it comes to this stuff. All I have got about cryptocurrencies is a belief, in the same way that I have a belief about gold and silver, that I think that both of them, and I can't use the word have to, because you guys, you need to do what you need to do. But from my particular perspective, I would be incredibly irresponsible with my portfolio if I don't get at some point gold or silver, and a cryptocurrency in that portfolio. Then not only will I be a bit irresponsible, but incredibly frustrated if I don't get the opportunity to get it in. And the opportunity is going to come at price. So the price that I'm looking at, and this is how I'm doing my analysis on this. So I'm looking at if I check my fib from low to high, it brings me down to this 50% fib. I really like that point, because if I draw a level across that 50% fib, then I have confluence. I've got a bounce here, a bounce here, a bounce here, a bounce here, a break, an attempt to get back above, and a little bit of failure there, a back above, a bounce there, back below, a bounce, back above, and a bounce. So the question is, has this already been missed? And the answer to that is possibly, but only possibly. And the reason that I say possibly is because I wonder whether this trend line might act as a magnet just to suck this price down one more time here. And if that can happen, then I am going to be all over it, because not only do I have a fib, I have my horizontal level, I have a structural low here. So if the chart, if the trend is going to continue to move to the upside, I have a structural low here. I also have a trend line. So the price on Ethereum is 365. Now Shukri's going to come and tell me whether I'm being an idiot or whether I am being sensible. I'm sure he'll like the technical level, but he'll tell me if I'm being an idiot, because he'll say it's never coming back, Ash. What are you playing at? You should have got in. Or he's going to say it's not going to hold at 365. It's going way lower because of this. So he will tell us that in approximately 5 minutes, I suspect. But that's my price point, and I'm not shifting from that price point. I don't care about the monthly pivot. I don't care about this high. I don't care about this high. I don't care what else the market currently offers. This is my price. Now, with the FTSE, it's different, because I'm potentially scalping it rather than trading it, or investing in it, if you like, and holding on to it. But this is my price point, and that won't change until this structure changes. If this becomes the structural low, then I might start thinking differently. But at this stage, here's the structural low. So I'm looking for cryptos there. Now there's not too much else except to mention oil, because unfortunately oil's move has been missed. Certainly the first move to the downside has been missed, and I am frustrated about it, because I was hawking this one, but it just didn't give me my it would have given me my entry, but I took my eyes off it because I wasn't around. but oil still looks to me like a move to the downside is in the offing. It's really interesting with oil because $42 a barrel, which is there, is where the likes of BP make money. Above, that's where they make money. So they are currently in the hole. So BP are currently in the hole because of the what's going on with the price of oil. When it comes down to this particular point of revenue for them, they make revenue in other ways, but this is one of their main point of revenue. They can't really survive for too long with oil down at in this position. They're about break even at $42 a barrel. So I do think oil's interesting, and I think it's interesting because of Biden. I think Biden has got the ability that a Biden win has got the ability to drag oil down. But watch out if Trump wins, because if Trump wins, then I think oil could be a really good play to the upside. I think those fossil fuels start to become more anticipated that they could start picking up. The global economy picking up with a potential vaccine, and oil starts to become a part of that story. So the question right now is when do we get in? When do we play it? Do we wait for a Trump win or do we wait for a Biden win? And the answer to that is if you believe that Biden is going to win, you trade it now. If you believe that Trump is going to win, you can wait until the election because it is lower than it's not showing an uptrend. It's not showing that it's moving in that direction. So you can wait as long as 42.50 before you need to get into the upside. And I think at that point there will be some room to travel. But if you think a Biden win is going to happen, you won't see this come back. There's a decent chance we get down to this point and then break, and then it'd be very, very difficult to get on board. So you have to play what your view, I think, of the election is. Now, if you don't have a view, just don't trade it. I've got to be honest. If I'd got in on Friday, which is when I was after it here, and it was off this price point here, then I'd be more than happy. I'd be holding on to what I had, and I wouldn't worry about the election. But now it's concerning because the price isn't good enough to get in, and if I'm completely truthful, I don't know. I haven't got a view on who's going to win the election. Not a really good, solid, concrete view. I've got an assumption, but and I think it's Biden for me. I think he's probably going to do it. But if Trump won, I wouldn't be surprised. So that means that prices become a bit too expensive if we're not able to get in early with that confusion. So are there any questions? Has anybody got anything that they want me to quickly check before we go on to the US show? Anybody trading anything in the Christo, how you doing? Where do you position the fib? Oh, okay. No problem. I will show you. The fib, where I positioned it, and it really is where I positioned it rather than where you should position it, because there's a few different ways you can position a fib. But let's just talk about the first convention, if you like. I would want to trade it from the start of the highest point of the run to the lowest point of the run. Now that could mean where we define the run really is where the confusion can come in. So if I say that there are two that I can see on this particular chart here, then I would have a fib from this point here, because that was the start of the trend to the downside, and that was the low of the trend. So I want to pick the highest point of the trend to the lowest point of the trend. But I also have the higher trend line here. So the bigger trend line is the bigger trend is from this point down to this point. So I've really got two fibs that I can now draw. So I'm going to go one from the highest to the lowest, and I'm going to go one from that point to that point. Now I think when I did it, the thing I was analyzing with the fib was Ethereum. So when it comes down to Ethereum, the way I drew that was this low point here, the lowest point of the trend, because this is the start of the move to the upside. If we take Where's my pen gone now? Just had it in my hand. My desk isn't that big, and I've lost my pen. I don't need it. Oh, we'll just draw it. This is the high, and then prices come down, and that's where the low before we start to move to the upside is. So I'm going to take the lowest point of the trend to the upside to the current highest point of the trend to the upside, and that's why I would draw my fib from that lowest pin there to the highest pin there, bringing me down to that 50% area here. So so what I'm saying is that now make sure the 100 is on the bottom, because that's saying 100% retracement, and this is telling you what percent of retracement of the whole trend the market needs to come back, or the market will come back. So it's saying that this point here is 23% of the current move to the upside from low to high. This is 38% of the move back down again, and this is 50% of the move from low to high. This is the midpoint, if you like, of the trend. Okay, makes sense. Okay, I think we are going to have to wrap up the UK aspect of this, sorry, the YouTube aspect of this, and we will move on to the US session on Zoom. So thanks so much for popping in if you are in the YouTube show. I will see you in the morning. We're going to now move on to Shukri and hear all about cryptos from him. He's going to tell me if I'm being sensible or not, and give us probably a lot more information as we go. You are welcome, SY. I will see you guys in the morning, or I will see you back here tomorrow morning, my time, that is, or I will see you back here at this time tomorrow.